Yeah, from the block to the blockchain. I yield farm and I mean trade. On Pulse chain, I just DCA the block for the DeFi. Shout out to the whole gang. From the block to the blockchain. I yield farm and I mean trade. On Pulse chain, I just DCA the block for the DeFi. Shout out to the whole gang.
What to do, baby? It's your boy Blockhead, bringing you the absolute best in DeFi. I'm not going to say this twice, but this is not financial advice. We got 2 shows today, baby. Let's rock and roll. So today I bring you a guest. He's an OG, the OG of OGs, been around several cycles, day one Hexican, and he has blessed us with his time today. And he is from the Fitzgerald Company, Mr. Tim Benjamin. How you doing, sir?
Very well. How are you, Blockhead?
I'm all right.
Nice.
How was your day?
It was a very active, busy day. And now I have some time to relax, hang out with you, talk to your audience, share some things. It's good. It's very good.
Yeah, you're very active. You're more you express that a lot. How much you work and play pickleball. It's pretty neat.
Every day it's like I wake up, I'm active until I go to bed, and that's if I go to bed at a decent time. And then if I fall asleep with my brain not continually moving after that is a good day.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to wind down when you're so driven.
Yeah, it's good though. It's very satisfying knowing that you're creating value, moving forward, working on making things better for everybody.
Well, a lot of people they complain that they don't have enough money, or they complain that their life's miserable, but you see their routines and it's not very fulfilling, I would say.
My first, if someone asked me for advice on how to change that, my first thing would be turn off the TV, stop watching TV, spend as much time outside as you possibly can. Perfect health is directly proportional to perfect circulation. Take a walk, learn how to play pickleball, fall in love with reading. Reading exercises your brain. Your brain uses blood as fuel. You're getting a workout when you read, especially if you're reading stuff that is informing you with knowledge and not just wasting time with entertainment. You'd be surprised how transformative life can be when you do things that are productive and informing and are just edifying.
Yeah, a body in motion stays in motion.
Yep.
So Tim, how long have you been in crypto?
Since November of 2011.
What was your first purchase?
Bitcoin.
What was the price of Bitcoin in 2011?
I don't remember. I didn't actually start purchasing Bitcoin until after Coinbase went live in the beginning of 2012. And that's because I never intended to purchase Bitcoin. My intention at the beginning was to mine it, but unfortunately, I didn't have the right hardware to mine it at the time. Financially, I wasn't really in a position to buy hardware. So I didn't. The only exchange at that time was Mt. Gox and something else called TradeHill. And I wasn't interested in dealing with exchanges. I wanted to mine. I wanted to mint the money. That was the draw. I only started buying on Coinbase because that was basically my only option. I wasn't in a position to mine.
Now, were you investing in anything prior? Were
No.
you an investor? No, that was like your first entry to investments?
Pretty much, other than, I had a 401k at one company I worked for in the past. I had profit sharing from employers in the past, but as far as like my own efforts at investing, crypto was the very first thing.
Yeah, so 3 cycles. I mean, you've seen a lot.
Yes.
What makes this cycle different?
Well, what makes this cycle different is I could care less what this cycle does, because now I have my own coin and I understand how to make a coin successful regardless of what cycle we're in or what it's doing.
What made you want to create your own coin?
Well, my reason for getting into crypto was to pursue a store of value. When I first learned about Bitcoin, I saw that it had the potential of fulfilling the role of store of value in the operation of money. And that was the thing that attracted me to it. And I've had to learn through trial and error and pain that things that are defined by markets are not going to function as stores of value. If you want a store of value, ultimately you have to make one yourself. You have to be in control of it. You have to own as much of the supply as possible. And that's where I am now. And like I said, I didn't know that back then. I had to learn these things the hard way. And much of my experience in crypto has been a learning experience. There's been times when I have encountered fortune because of things that I bought into at different times. Really, the ultimate is just having your own thing and piloting your own ship, basically.
Yeah, I mean, after a few cycles, those that are still here have obviously won more than that. They've obviously they've obviously won more than they've lost. But we all have had to pay our tuition in terms of DeFi and these unforgiving environments.
Yeah, and these options didn't even exist just a few years ago. I mean, you asked me about investing earlier. As I was growing up, there were times in my life where I knew that if I had money to invest, I would have done very well, even when I was a teenager. But back when I was a teenager, we didn't have the internet. If you wanted to invest in something, you needed to contact a broker. It was more based on who you knew. People didn't have access to investment opportunities until just recently. The internet is one of the things that has made investment more open to the general public, whereas previously you had to go through brokers, you had to know people, you had to have connections through people that are more readily available through the internet now.
Well, everywhere I've gone, I've heard nothing but high praises for you. So you're definitely a standout character in the community. How do you have that decentralization conversation with those that are not in crypto yet? How do you explain it to them?
Well, first I have to find out what their interests are, because if I just approach them and start telling them about crypto and they don't even care, then you're just talking to a brick wall. So first you have to talk to them about something that they can connect to crypto, and then find out if they're interested in going down that road. And if they are, then you can just give them based on their ability to comprehend. Fortunately for me, because I've been in this space so long, I've learned to communicate these things on a level that isn't really complicated. A lot of people, they like to go down these rabbit holes, and they're interested in things that don't even pertain to them. And it's like, the challenge is to bring them back on track and focus on the simple things. What do you want? Why do you want to do this? What do you have available? That stuff. That's the real challenge with sharing crypto to non-technical people, is keeping the matter simple.
Yeah, it's about, having a clear understanding of the plan and their expectations.
Yes.
Because, yeah, I mean, being your own bank comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yes, it does. And a lot of people, all they know is what they see on TV. And everything they see on TV has strings attached to it. The media doesn't talk about things if they're not in bed with it in some way. Bitcoin, Coinbase, the government, the banks, the media, it's like they're all in bed together. So if you're not informed on any of these matters and all you know is what the TV's telling you, you're at the mercy of that information. Nobody who watches TV knows about Pulse Chain. They probably don't know about Richard Hart. They don't know about decentralization or trustless interest or liquidity pools. I've had talks with crypto people where it's literally, I'm pulling my hair out trying to explain to them what liquidity pools are, because all they know is Coinbase, Kraken, centralized exchanges where users don't have any power in those environments. It's like you play by their rules, and if you don't like it, get lost. It's, we don't have that problem in DeFi. In DeFi, we define the value of the assets that we are engaged with.
Very much so. Yeah, it's really it's liberating, but there's a barrier there to communicate that to the average folk. People think that, oh, it's still taboo, or there people are very cautious, and then especially like my friends and family, that they'll ask me about Bitcoin, but they don't know that I'm in a whole lot of other stuff other than Bitcoin. So
exactly,
Bitcoin is just like the I guess the first step. You explain to them the story of Bitcoin, and then it's easier to explain the other things. But how did you come across Hex? Because I mean, you were a day one Hexican, right?
Yes.
How did you stumble upon that?
I learned about Richard Hart right after he got his Twitter account. I just happened to be online one day, and somebody that I followed made a tweet saying, "Hey, you all ought to listen to this guy. He's pretty smart." And that person was referring to Richard Hart. So I became acquainted with Richard like right away. I watched his videos on his YouTube channel, and I sent him a DM and I said, "Hey man, I watched your videos and I really dig what you're saying." And he wrote back and said, "Thanks, man." And that was the beginning of my relationship with Richard. And I listened to the guy talk, and I knew within the first 2 minutes that this is one of the smartest people in the space. And if anything's going to get done, he's going to do it. So when he started talking about the prospect of earning yield on crypto, that caught my attention right away. And I'm like, if anybody can do it, this guy can do it, because I had already lost a boatload of money trying to earn yield on Bitcoin previously. So it's like, okay, this guy can make it work. And that's how I ended up becoming acquainted with Richard, and that's how I got into Hex on day one. It's like I was already on the sidelines waiting for it to launch. 2 more weeks, guys, 2 more weeks.
Bear with me. I'm trying to get my mic glitched out on me, or my camera glitched out on me. Give me 1 second.
That's all right. I can still hear you. If you want to bring up another talking point, I can keep everybody entertained while you do your maintenance.
Well,
oh, there you are.
What's the biggest obstacle that you faced in DeFi?
Just my own ignorance. It's learning what DeFi actually is. It actually took me a while to understand DeFi, because all I knew, I didn't even really know that Hex was a decentralized financial product for like a year or more. All I knew is you buy it, you stake it, you get more of it for free. And that was satisfactory enough for my own curiosity that worked. The whole concept of DeFi didn't really start to gel for me until after Pulse Chain was live, because I really didn't have the patience to play around with the testnet. I figure I'll just, it's all a matter of pushing buttons. So when the real net launches, I'll figure it out as I need to. But it wasn't until Pulse Chain actually launched that real DeFi actually started to settle into my brain.
I was very intrigued about, when I first got into crypto, I was very intrigued about making money. And then I realized being financially free is more important than being super wealthy, just buying your time back and being able to work less, essentially. Because, like you said yourself, you work outside, I work outside, and it's not always, I have to work outside in all 4 seasons, whether it's snowing or in the heat. We do this so we can buy our time back. There's a good book on that.
And when you live in Arizona and you're working outside in the summertime, you feel it. Fortunately, I like the heat, and it doesn't bother me at all.
So how do you maintain your health?
A lot of it has to do with how I eat, what I do with my time, what I expose my mind to. There's a lot of variables involved, but the fact is I don't follow any fad diets. I prefer to spend as much of my life on my feet as possible, except for when I'm sleeping or when I'm talking to people like you. But a lot of it has to do with how you relate to life also. You can follow all the trends and all the fads, but if your attitude sucks, it's going to make you sick. And so there's a lot of variables involved: nutrition, exercise, water, being hydrated, sunshine. The propaganda is, oh, you can't go outside because you're going to get skin cancer. Most of the world has lived outside for thousands of years. Skin cancer is a 20th century phenomenon in America, mostly because of how humans relate to food and how they relate to life. And they blame the sun for what they've done to themselves. So, yeah, being healthy just has a lot of variables to it. It's not just following a trend.
So how can you describe the current health of the chain?
Of Pulse Chain?
Yes.
As far as its operation, it's very healthy. I've never had any technical issues with Pulse Chain. The worst case scenario is I've had a transaction drop once or twice and I had to do it again. I mean, that's about the worst thing I've dealt with. The charts, on the other hand, that's up for interpretation. But the charts don't have anything to do with the chain. They have to do with the people using the chain. So that it's actually a different subject altogether.
And you were getting people into Hex on that run up, right?
Yes. The run up
so,
that happened on ETH Hex. Yes.
Yeah, at the very beginning.
Yes.
And the current landscape and the 2 years of Pulse Chain and what you've seen, this is what has fueled you to be a founder and to create value yourself, right?
Yeah. Because I understand the principles involved in creating value and storing value. What I didn't have was a vehicle to execute those things, because I don't know how to program a crypto. I don't know how to make a blockchain. I'm not that tech savvy, even though I actually enjoy working with computers. I just am not disciplined enough to learn that field to that extent. So because of my own lack of discipline, I've been reliant on interfaces like pump tires, where all I have to do is fill in the blanks and I have my own coin. So now the ball is in my court. Richard basically gave me the ball, and now I'm here to dunk.
That's a good way to put it. Like Michael Jordan in Game 2.
Like Shaq.
Yeah, like Michael Jordan and Kobe.
Yeah.
It's rock and roll. So, man, I just had a question. It just slipped.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
So I'm 30. I'm 30 years old. How would you explain store of value or value itself to my generation and those younger than myself?
Okay. Well, value is simply a word that defines your relationship to something. Value is not the same thing as price. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. If you have two guys at the grocery store, one of them is hungry and he likes strawberries, he's going to value a pound of strawberries more than the guy who isn't hungry, who doesn't like strawberries. He's only there to buy them for his pregnant wife who's craving them, and she's making him pay for them. They're not going to be as valuable to him. So value comes out of you. It doesn't come out of the object. So when we work, when we provide labor to accomplish something or to build something, our labor is our value that we're putting into the thing that we're producing. So now that thing is our store of value. A lot of us have jobs. We value the paycheck that we get at the end of the week because of what we did throughout the week. That paycheck is basically a store of value until you take that value and you use it to pay bills or to buy things or to do things. Now you're transferring that value from yourself to that object, to whatever that object is acquiring for you. So now with a store of value, you're taking that and you're putting it in something where it can sit be stored, just like putting something in a jar. You're putting it somewhere where it can be accessed later. Is that music coming from you?
Yeah, just playing a little background. It's not too loud, is it?
No, I just wanted to make sure we weren't being hacked or something.
No, you're good. Yeah, just playing a little background.
But anyway, so with storing value, what you want is that when you access that value later, it still has the same purchasing power that it had when you first stored it. And this is the problem with the United States dollar. Inflation neutralizes that practice. The dollar is not a store of value because it's being inflated by the Federal Reserve that we don't have any oversight on. They don't obey us. They do whatever they want. So they inflate away the value of our labor over the course of our life. So when I found Bitcoin, I saw Bitcoin as a way of remedying this problem with the dollar. And that's been my goal the whole time that I've been in crypto, is to participate in a store of value. But it seems like every crypto has failed at fulfilling that purpose of being a store of value, because the market, which is a competitor, not your friend, has taken over these assets and has pretty much rendered them to whatever level the market has decided to do. And you look at the price charts and you see that happening to so many assets. They do well, and then suddenly they're not doing well. And that's because of the market, not because of the asset.
So what makes you different? What makes this situation different? Because you've been on a roll, man. What, seven green weeks?
Well, our 7th week, which we're currently in the midst of, is currently red because the price of Pulse has pulled back. So we'll find out by Sunday afternoon whether we stay in the red or we recover. But anyway, what makes my coin different is the fact that because myself and my 2 co-founders and the other people that we first invited to be part of our team that are now whales, we are all on the same page about our coin being a store of value. It was created on that foundation. We're all in agreement with that, and we own like 95% of the supply. So because we own so much of the supply, we are in a position to define the value of our coin because we own it. The market doesn't own it. If most of the coin was sitting on an exchange or sitting in the wallets of people who don't care, well, then they would be defining the value. They can't do that. We do, because it's ours. We created it. We own it. We only have a small percentage that is available to the market to decide whether they want to basically join our team and do what we're doing, or if they want to keep playing their market games and whatever. We're benefiting from that volume one way or the other. We have a saying in our team: everything works to our favor as long as we stick to the plan. And that has not failed since day one. So that's what makes us different. We have a team, we have a plan, and we have a coach, which is basically me. And when you have those things, that's how you win the Super Bowl. It's like, it's the coach with the plan that takes the team to victory. If the team doesn't have a coach, the players don't know what play they're supposed to do. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's doing their own play, and now the opposing team makes mincemeat out of them. We don't have that problem. We've got the plan. We got the team. We got the coach. We're going to win, because the only thing that can stop us is us.
Have that premeditated organization. I mean, it's different.
Yeah.
My generation and the generation under me, we're not as prepared to plan.
Yeah. And, it's kind of unfortunate, because I know younger generations, they're more connected through the internet than they are through personal interaction. And there's a real consequence to that, because if you really want to be successful, you're going to have real solid relationships with other people. That's the problem with a lot of people who launch cryptos. They have a great idea and then they launch their coin, but there's no support system behind it. They just put it out there on an exchange and they let the market decide the value, where it's going to go. And unfortunately, markets don't care about value. They care about greed. It's all about opportunity and self-interest. If that's the most of the people who hold your coin, it's not going to go anywhere, unfortunately. And I'm afraid that some of the younger generations aren't really prepared to create that kind of social cohesion, which requires trust, to really bring a team together to accomplish that kind of success. And that's part of what I want to help people accomplish, is help people learn how to just engage with other people. It's kind of sad. I mean, it seems like a lot of social media sites like X, for example, are more of an arena for people to just go at each other's throat instead of, building something awesome.
Misery loves company.
Yeah.
So,
it takes individuals that are willing to rise above that and consider that there is a better way. And it may be a solitary way for many years, but the payoff is really worth it. I don't have a lot of close personal people that I talk to outside of like the people in my coin, the people I play pickleball with, people that I go to church with. It's like I don't have a really big social circle apart from that, because I've pursued interests that aren't that interesting to most people. Most people don't like to read. They'd rather watch TV. Most people aren't into crypto. They'd rather go to the casino. It's like, people have to make choices about what they really want and associate with people who want the same thing.
yeah, I mean, my closest friends, I've been telling them for 5 years, hey, man, good, get a little bit of Bitcoin, get a little bit of Ethereum. And,
Yeah.
you can't help people that don't want to help themselves.
Yeah. So it's like success it's a long solitary road, but once you start breaking through some of those barriers, it's worth it, because everybody that you talked to previously will eventually come around to realizing, oh, I should have listened to you the first time. Now it's going to cost me a lot more to listen to you the second time.
Well, one big thing I've learned from you is the importance of patience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something we really have.
Yeah. And yeah, it's when you have a plan, when you have like a real list of goals that you write down and you pursue those things in a real way, that helps you develop patience, because without some kind of direction, patience is actually irritating, because it feels like idleness and it feels like your life is just wasting away and you're not really accomplishing anything. That's why it's really important to write down the things that you want to accomplish. And they can even be just stupid things like washing your car once a month, or, I want to walk 5 miles this week, document how much you walk. Just little things that don't even cost you any money. Make a list of those goals.
Yeah, I mean, writing it down is very important in terms of manifesting what you want. And when you put things on paper, it does something to the brain. It definitely brings out the gut feeling in terms of what your goals are.
You're executing intent when you write it down. And now you're accountable to your own record. You're accountable to yourself to do the things that you have expressed an intent to do. And like I said, those things don't have to involve money. I mean, if you have money, or if you want to accomplish something money related, you can write that down. Even if it's like really crazy big things like, I want this house located on this island that costs this much money, put a picture there, or, something that you can keep focused on.
Yeah, the trenches are, they can be very unforgiving.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's the reason why we're here now. But I'm really glad that people like you are stepping up and doing the right thing. I know it's not easy, um, but hey, the road less traveled is sometimes the most successful.
Yeah. For me, it feels like because of my age and my experience, I feel like the worst of it is over. Like the most painful things that I needed to learn, I've already learned. So now it's just a matter of just doing the necessary steps to bring to pass the things that I want to bring to pass. So that's one advantage that I do have being older is I've already experienced the most painful things that I needed to learn for my own benefit, my own character development.
Yes, it sounds like you've turned a lot of losses into lessons, and that's
Yeah,
what makes it. That's what makes us wise.
yeah. It's really easy to get offended at the things that come into our life that are there to teach us. When you take offense at those things, you don't benefit from what you could have benefited from if you would just look at it and consider reason from cause to effect, how this happened, why it happened, the effect that it has on me, where I go from here. When people get offended, they cut themselves off from that knowledge, and chances are they're going to have to go through it all over again to see if they learn next time.
So sometimes when people are offended and they're discouraged, a lot of those things can come from an ego driven standpoint, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the worst thing that you can do when you get offended is to broadcast it because you're just inviting pain. And man, it's kind of like when my dad used to say, if you don't stop crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about. Well, when you're offended and you take that public, it's like you're just bending over, waiting for that paddle.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I've learned is to not dwell,
Yeah.
not dwell on the negatives because then there's no room for positivity. A lot of us we will sit in a dark room or in a dark place for a while, and you sit so long in that dark mentality that it becomes a habit, and a lot of us need to break those habits, and it's not easy.
No, it's not, especially when you identify with those habits as being you. And so it's like your inclination to express those behaviors is just that much harder to change because it's so entrenched in you. So yeah, it's life is an interesting journey. It's I had to, I grew up before the internet existed. I mean, when I was a teenager, I got a Commodore 64 and I remember getting a modem and being able to use my phone, my parents' phone line to call another computer with a modem. And it was the most mind-blowing experience of my entire life. And this was before this was the precursors to the internet. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be awesome if I could like have my own bulletin board? And my dad's like, well, call the phone company. It's like, if you could pay the bill, get your own phone line and you can literally have your own bulletin board. And lo and behold, I did. And they're like, yeah, you can get a phone line. I'm like, I don't have to be 18? They're like, no, because I was only 15 at the time. And the phone company's like, yeah, we'll send somebody out and put a line in your bedroom. And I was like, I had my own phone line. And it's like, most kids my age at that time, they couldn't even use the phone in their house without their parents' permission. Now I have my own line. And it was like, I felt like I was on top of the world back then. And you
Before the
compare
first
that,
cell phone and everything.
yeah, and that was before cell phones, I felt like I ruled the world. And it's like the power that we actually have now compared to then, and the fact that I'm alive and have this optionality available to me. And now I have the maturity also to use these things in a productive way. And that's something that younger people need to learn is to be productive. Don't, don't let this power and these tools slip through your fingers as you use them for, these things that don't provide any real value to anybody.
And so What are a couple big pieces of advice that you could give to the younger generation listening? Because I know I got some people, friends and family that are listening, and they have no idea what we go through in crypto. But I know you have a lot of experience aside from that could potentially help somebody in need.
Well, I guess the advice would be tailored to the needs of the individual. So to speak in a general sense, really the first thing I would say is make up your mind about what you really want as far as like what's the big picture of your life? Like what is it that you want to accomplish that people will remember you in a million years? Like what is the things that really, really matter? And then once you know that, you know, start itemizing what your life would look like to get to that point. You know, even if it sounds totally crazy, make a list and then start making a list of goals. Break down your list into real executable things that you can do right now. Really simple habits. I mean, even something as simple as going to bed an hour earlier at night instead of staying up till midnight playing games. That can transform your life in 5 years. You'd be surprised how much healthier you would be getting the right amount of sleep. So it really comes down to recognizing what you really want and being honest with yourself about what it actually takes to get there, instead of just believing your own stories and living in a self-created matrix, essentially.
I mean, nowadays a lot of people's attention spans are so short. People they waffle between choices naturally, and we got to not waffle around.
Short attention spans have always been an issue with people as long as I can remember. Unfortunately, a lot of our technological advances have amplified that and excused it to a great degree, because now we can accomplish things a lot faster than we could in the past. Our ability to communicate across large distances has made it easier for us to get things done. So it's easy to slip into this notion that because it can be done faster, it needs to be done faster, rather than exercising whatever patience is necessary to get it done properly rather than quickly. So again, younger people who are born into this environment where they have all this power at their disposal, it's going to be more challenging to apply this wisdom, but it's worth it. It's worth it to just consider these things and putting them into practice. But at the same time, you can't force people either, and you can't rag on them for not getting with the program, because that's just going to make them that much more resistant.
Man, you've shed a lot of jewels here. I appreciate your time. What do you guys have planned? And I mean, you don't have to go in depth if you don't want to, but what can we expect from you and your team?
Well, right now we're waiting on a shipment of shirts from the Pulse Chain store. We came up with a design for a t-shirt and we've ordered some. We're waiting for them to come in. We're going to make them publicly available once they come in. With that, I haven't spoken to him yet, but my employer's son-in-law is a web developer. He developed a website for her water company, which includes the ability to make payments online. I'm going to talk to him about building a website for the Fitzgerald company that will include the opportunity to connect with his construction business, the opportunity to connect with the coin, and it's also going to have a merch store where we can sell t-shirts and anything else that we make available. So that's something that we got coming down the line, is shirts. We have a website coming down the line, and I have a potential secret weapon. The idea just came to me today. I shared with you backstage. I'm not going to talk about it in detail because it's just an idea at the moment. We haven't actually made any decisions on it. And if we do, we're going to need help. And we don't actually have help at the moment. I just know where there's help available. But, if that comes to pass, that can be pretty darn explosive, but it doesn't exist yet. So it's not worth talking about. But we definitely have some things coming down the pike. And that doesn't even take into consideration the fact that I still have a list of prospective onboards that I haven't even been able to visit with yet because this week has been so demanding. It's already Thursday and it's like I haven't even hardly done anything. It's like I haven't even been able to put anything on X as frequently as I have in the past couple of weeks because I've just been pulled in so many different directions. I even have to miss pickleball tomorrow morning because I got to go do something.
Oh man, so you mean your onboards don't have Ethereum or Bitcoin? They just came straight to Pulse Chain?
Some of them. Like there's one person on my list that has some experience buying crypto from a centralized exchange. My biggest onboard who's waiting for a check to clear the bank doesn't know anything. Like he literally just wrote a check to a friend and said, here, do this. And so now that person is waiting for the check to clear through Old Glory Bank. And that person needed to have their account finished being set up. So there's been a lag in getting that person onboarded, but they know nothing. And that's going to be a pretty healthy purchase when it comes through. It's just been delayed. But yeah, a lot of the people that I onboard have very limited crypto experience. It's like all of our whales, TFC is their first rodeo. Everybody. All of the whales, they've never done anything in crypto before until I basically got them into Pulse Chain and we got them into TFC.
Okay, so the onboards have not been exhausted.
No.
Man, I'm excited for the Fitzgerald company a lot. I'm excited for everything that you're about to do. You're a very stand-up guy, and people can learn a lot from you. So keep doing what you're doing, man. And you got a lot of good people supporting you.
Yeah, I'm really happy that I've met you and Mo and the guys that are part of that whole thing. It's been really awesome. I told Mo I'd probably drop into their live stream later today.
Oh yeah, here in a few hours.
Yeah,
tonight's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
I guess since we're bringing up Mo and the Council of LP and those guys, I mean, we can say at 42 cents, I gotta shave my head. Yeah, because at 42 cents, that's a 10,000x, right?
Yes, it is.
And that's a bet that we made, and it's documented. It's recorded. So yeah, at 42 cents, Blockhead will have no hair. It's funny, man. My lady was not happy to hear that, but it'll go back.
Yeah. Like I said, she can get you a wig.
Give me a nice little beanie or something. Tim, where can we find you? On Twitter and other social media places.
Twitter is my mainstay. The Fitzgerald company has its own Twitter page. I forget the handle. I'd have to look it up. It's really weird. It's like the company _. It was assigned to us by Twitter because everything we kept suggesting was taken. So we just settled with that. But if you do a search for the Fitzgerald company, you'll see the logo. And I publish from that account, and Travis publishes from there from time to time. But that's the main account associated with the coin. And my personal account on X is at TB, those are my initials, and then the Greek word dunamis, DUNAMIS. So TB Dunamis is my X handle. Those are my mainstays. I'm on Telegram, Tim_Benjamin. But I don't really use Telegram for a lot of personal communication because it seems like everybody that hits me up on Telegram is trying to sell me advertising and offering to shill my coin for a price and blah, blah, blah. And I don't need a million users. We just need enough team members to make the thing work.
Yeah, pretty much.
We don't need marketing. We don't. So
Yeah, your chart market itself.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the whole objective from the beginning. Let's make something that we just show people the price chart, and that pretty much settles it, yes or no.
Well, I do have the Fitzgerald Company and your Twitter handle in the original X post.
Yes.
Do you want to send me your YouTube page and I'll put that in the comments underneath?
Yes, I can do that. I do have a YouTube page, and yeah, because that's
a lot of good information's there. I mean, your story, your documented story is one that people really respect.
Yeah. I used to make a lot of like videos from my truck. Like when Hex first launched, I was making videos every day talking about Hex before I went to work and stuff like that. And
that's funny.
I posted some videos from my construction site where my house is currently on hold, but is in the process of being built. Things like that. But
let's give a few shout outs to the people in the audience.
Yes.
I know Red Squirrel from your group.
Yes, Red Squirrel's a great guy.
We got a good couple Pulsicans in here. Past Abdul, Frank White. Yes. Shout out to you guys. Benjamin 369. Hey, it's my boy KG. Bit Finesse. I feel like I've heard him before.
Oh yeah, I definitely know Bit Finesse.
And Coach is asking, when are you going to come on stream?
It depends which stream he's referring to. If he's referring to somebody else's or my own.
He streams 3 times a week in the mornings.
Okay. Unfortunately, my mornings are almost always occupied. So
well, yeah, link up with him. Coach is a great guy, and he definitely like to have you on, because we need more of this. We need more leaders speaking up and doing the right thing.
Yeah, it depends on what time zone he's referring to when he refers to the morning. I could just talk to him and maybe work something out. But yeah, anybody that's willing to have me on, I'd be happy to be on. I love to stream, so
you've been on a little tour lately.
Yeah.
Tim, it was an honor to have you on, sir. Normally these shows are 30 minutes or so, but man, me and you can talk like this all day.
Yeah. I didn't know your show was only 30 minutes. I thought it was an hour. So
you're fine. It's I mean, hey, it's no worries here. But yeah, let's revisit this here in a couple months. Let's see where you're at, and I would love to have you back on in Q3, Q4, whatever later on this year, and
sure.
Hopefully you get my hair gone by then.
Nice.
All right, Tim. Yeah, so I'll post all your info. Your information's already in the X post.
Right.
We just need to get your YouTube page on there, and I'm pretty sure you'll get a lot of new followers.
Yeah, excellent.
All right, Tim. You have a good rest of your day, and I think I'll see you tonight in that stream, right?
Yeah, I plan on being there.
All right, man. You have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.
All right. See you, everybody.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. That was Tim Benjamin from the Fitzgerald Company, TFC. This guy is doing things that are not so common nowadays. So go back and replay it. Get a little bit of soak in this knowledge that we've been blessed with, and catch you on the next one. I do have a pretty exciting guest next Thursday, and stay tuned. Blockhead out.
Yeah, from the block to the blockchain, I yield farm and I mean trade. On Pulse chain, I just DCA the block for the DeFi. Shout out to the whole gang. From the block to the blockchain, I yield farm and I mean trade. On Pulse chain, I just DCA the block for the DeFi. Shout out to the whole